Traveler, hurry, have a seat. I've heard something, if you have time to listen.
Some truths are older than kingdoms, older than war, older than grief, older even than the names we are given. And when Donte begins to speak, Kaighleigh will learn that the song in her blood was never meant to be human. For it is from the beginning I like to remember, Donte began, his voice taking on a slower, almost reverent cadence. For in a way, it seems that I must remind myself how it had all once happened, who I am, and that I shall never forget what I quest for. His words were spoken not just to Kaighleigh, but to something distant, ancestral perhaps, buried deep in his soul. His tone held the weight of generations, as if the story itself was sacred. She could feel the way his chest rose behind her with each breath, steady and deep, like a great bellows feeding the fire of old memory. From the very first birth of the world, he continued, many came forth from this earth. You see, it is how the Elven tell the story of the birth of the races. Kaighleigh's breath slowed, unconsciously matching his. The human, the ogre, the troll, the animal, the beasts of all different nature. First created before all of these was the demon, and her twin sister, an elven. They looked alike in many ways, nearly identical, but the evil seed that grew in the demon could not be set aside, could not be thwarted. His voice dipped, and she could hear the sorrow beneath it, ancient, worn like a scar. The sisters loved each other, he said, softer now, and they birthed children into this world, some with men they loved, some with men who passed like wind through the veil, returning to the next world. Kaighleigh imagined these sisters, celestial and tragic, straddling the edge of creation. The first of their children, Donte said, lived together in their home, Tirminag. It was a place of wisdom, of peace and harmony, a sanctuary where all races came together as one. There was warmth in his words now, a wistfulness, as if Tirminag were not just a place, but a memory he ached to return to. But the demon sister, his voice hardened. She grew jealous. Her sister's children were more beautiful than hers, lighter, brighter. And so, Kaighleigh felt it, like a shadow spilling over her shoulders. An uprising occurred. The horse beneath them continued its thundering stride, but she hardly noticed now. The demon mother sent her hordes to fight against their family, and the Elven fought back, fiercely, not alone. They stood beside the humans, the animals, the Elven subspecies. The whole of the earth shuddered as the beasts joined their dark brothers and sisters, and the humans, the animals, answered the call of their kin, the Elven kind. The world waged war. She could almost see it. Legions across wild fields, storms of magic and claw and flame. The mother of the twins, she woke from her slumber. A hush fell between his words. She was so angered, so filled with sorrow, that she reached down and plucked the demons, mother and all, and threw them deep within herself, to punish them for their jealousy, for their naivete. His voice was quieter now, but it held the kind of silence that followed thunder. She created the 9 hells inside her own body, not as a cage, but as punishment, as eternal duty. A pause. The wind threaded through Kaighleigh's hair. The mother of all, though angry, still loved her demon children. She gave them a role, a burden, to be the keepers of the 9 hells for all eternity. That was her decree. All the evil of the world, when it died, it would go to them, and the demons would be their keepers. Kaighleigh's throat felt tight. Their entire bloodline was to serve the darkness and fire, from then until the end of time. No matter the era, no matter the age, forever they would be punished for the mistakes of their mother. That was the Mother Gaia's creed. He said her name with such reverence. Gaia, as if speaking it could stir her again. The Elvan, Donte went on, were left behind, tasked with protecting her. Their purpose was to stand guard, to watch and wait. Then came the ache again, deep in his tone. But the Elvan Mother Goddess, she wept. His hand clenched around the reins just slightly. Day and night, she cried for her demon sister. The uprising, the betrayal. It broke her heart beyond mending. Her grief formed the river of elven tears. It runs through Tirminag even now, clear as crystal. We drink from it. We bathe in it. We scry with it. Kaighleigh's heart ached as she imagined such sorrow being born into the world, liquid grief flowing eternally. And once more, the Mother Gaia saw her daughter's pain, and because she was beloved, the world was changed again. He paused. The silence between words stretched, long and respectful. Tirminag was sealed. His voice came back firm, final. A sanctuary, once open to all, was closed off from the world. A holy place, now untouchable. No more gathering of kin, no more unity. Each race was given its own path, its own walls, its own solitude. Donte exhaled slowly. And the elven sister was given a task. She was to choose one of her children. One child, to guard the gate. Kaighleigh's stomach tightened. And so she chose the Seiren. The name struck her like a bell in the chest. The child Seiren had a voice, beautiful beyond mortal understanding, a voice with power. Power to disintegrate those who threatened Tirminag, the gift of song and of destruction. Kaighleigh's hands curled slightly in her lap. The Seiren was appointed as guardian of the gate, the only one who could part the veil and open the sacred way. She, and her daughters after her. The weight of it pressed into Kaighleigh's chest like a stone. She knew. She knew. The Seiren's sister in turn was given the crown. She would rule the kingdom, watch over the grieving goddess, hold the burden of leadership. The story slowed. Donte's voice softened like twilight. And the Seiren, she was given one last burden. Kaighleigh closed her eyes. To let a demon willingly into Tirminag would mean the death of her people. The Mother Gaia could not bear to see her children weep like that again. He fell silent. Then, slowly. Each race went its own way. Each remembered in its own way the truth of what happened so long ago. Donte fell silent. Not abruptly, but with intention. The kind of pause that allowed the weight of what had been spoken to settle into the bones. The world did not rush to fill the space he left behind. The thunder of hooves continued. The wind kept its course. The forest slowly loosened its grip as the land ahead began to open. The trees thinned. The shadowed canopy gave way to light, and the earth stretched outward into a vast valley. Rolling grass rippled in the growing daylight, the green broken only by distant stone and the pale sweep of sky above. Morning had fully claimed the world now, soft gold bleeding into blue. Kaighleigh barely noticed. Her mind was elsewhere, caught in the echo of Donte's words. His silence did not disturb her. If anything, it gave her room to breathe, to gather the fragments of the story and try, vainly, to make them whole. Wolfgar had made her aware of her voice, made her aware of what her mother could do. Open the gates. The realization struck her like a cold hand closing around her heart. This meant Kaighleigh was the next Seiren, or perhaps the last. Something Donte had said finally clicked into place, sharp and undeniable. Dread poured through her in a slow, suffocating wave. Her chest tightened. Her breath faltered. She could never go to Tirminag. Never. Because Wolfgar would never be able to follow. Her vision blurred as tears welled, the world shimmering at the edges. She looked from the open valley to the horizon and back again, but it all felt suddenly empty, hollow. The meaning of everything unraveled at once. All she knew, truly knew, was that without Wolfgar, she would be alone. Utterly. She understood now what Donte's words meant. Not just the history, but the cost. For better or worse, for anguish and for comfort, Wolfgar was bound to her. Forever. Tirminag would close itself away from the world. Someday, long and distant, Donte and those like him, stranded beyond its borders, would perish. The elven kind would fade into myth, forgotten, lost, left to prosper or perish on their own. A strange, painful sensation struck her chest. Not a wound, but a pressure. A deep, internal ache that made her breath come short and uneven. She tried to steady herself, tried to slow her racing heart. She failed. How could this be right? Her arms wrapped around herself instinctively, as if she could hold her body together by force alone. Questions tore through her thoughts, wild and merciless. Would the Mother Gaia shudder at the path her children had taken? Would she punish those who had wronged the elven sisters and brothers? And if Kaighleigh turned her back on them, on Tirminag, was she any better than the demon twin who had done the same? The confusion hurt more than fear ever had. And worse still, would she one day be forced to leave Wolfgar behind to save them? The thought nearly broke her. She reached out with her mind, instinctively, desperately. Wolfgar. The answer came not in words but in warmth, a presence wrapping around her like fur and breath and heartbeat. It felt as if he stood beside her, shielding her from the world, his massive form curved protectively around her own. Her physical body responded at once. Her breathing slowed, the tremor in her hands eased. Right and wrong twisted together inside her chest, inseparable. This is all too much for you now, Wolfgar growled within her mind. Tell him to hold his fleshy tongue until we reach camp, or I will bite it off and thrash it from his lolling head. He is upsetting you. The threat was not idle. Kaighleigh shuddered. Donte, kind, earnest Donte, did not deserve such a fate. She gathered herself, steadying her breath before speaking aloud. Donte? Her voice was low, carried only to him through the rush of wind and the thunder of hooves. She was certain none of the others could hear. I would very much like to hear the rest of your quest, she said gently, carefully. But it is only noon. We must have something to speak of over the campfire this night. For a heartbeat, she wondered if she had offended him. Then Donte laughed. It was warm and easy, the sound carried away by the wind as his golden hair whipped around them. He nodded, smiling down at her, and she could imagine the familiar creases at the corners of his eyes, those marks that made him more handsome when he smiled than when he stood stern and armored. As you wish, my lady, he said, amusement threading his tone. Kaighleigh exhaled slowly. The tightness in her chest eased, replaced by something gentler, lighter, the warmth of shared laughter, however brief. She sighed, leaning back into the steady strength behind her. For now, that was enough. Next time. The road grows quieter, but not safer. Kaighleigh rides farther from the only home she has ever known, into a land that feels older, stranger, and far less forgiving than the valley she left behind. The forests deepen, the stones rise, and when night finally takes them, even rest feels borrowed. Because some places do not threaten you loudly. They simply watch. And in the dark ahead, something in those woods may already know they've arrived.
Wasn't that interesting? Now don't forget to subscribe for more.
And ring the bell for your server.